No one dared approach the human, but she stepped forward. Diplomat's risk. The forbidden contact. The central dome of Nexus gleamed like polished obsidian under the twin suns, its translucent panels filtering the harsh violet light to a tolerable glow. Ambassador Sephora Vex stood motionless at the observation deck, her azure skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed her nervousness, despite her perfect posture. "The human delegation arrives in one rotation," announced Director Zoran, his voice reverberating through the chamber. "You will observe only, no direct contact." Sephora's silver eyes narrowed slightly. "I am the chief diplomatic liaison. Why am I being restricted?" "The Council has concerns about human pheromonal signatures. They're unpredictable." Zoran's expression hardened. "You're to evaluate from a distance. That's an order." After he left, Sephora reviewed the human profiles again. The lead ambassador, Jared Townsend, appeared unremarkable in his file. Dark hair, tanned skin, physically fit but nothing extraordinary. Yet something about his eyes caught her attention every time. They held a defiance that none of her perfectly bred Nexian counterparts possessed. The arrival ceremony proceeded with mechanical precision. 12 Nexian officials formed a perfect semicircle, while 7 humans stood awkwardly opposite them. Sephora watched from her elevated platform, cataloging behavioral patterns, until she noticed Jared looking directly at her, breaking the first rule of Nexian protocol. That night, unable to sleep, Sephora wandered to the restricted eastern gardens, where the dense foliage blocked surveillance. She needed space to process the day's events, to understand why the human's gaze had unsettled her so deeply. "I was told this area was off limits," a voice said behind her. "But I figured that applied more to me than to you." Sephora spun around, her skin flashing with alarmed patterns. Jared Townsend stood before her, wearing simple earth clothing instead of his formal diplomatic attire. "You shouldn't be here," she said, backing away. "Contact outside official channels is forbidden." Jared stepped forward, unintimidated. "Yet here we both are. I'm a senior diplomat. I have clearance. And I'm just curious." His smile transformed his face. "Why were you watching from above today? Too important to stand with the welcome committee?" "I was ordered to observe only," she admitted, surprised at her own honesty. "Because I'm human?" He moved closer, and Sephora felt an unexpected warmth radiating from him. "Because you're unpredictable." Her skin betrayed her with a ripple of iridescent blue, the Nexian equivalent of a blush. "Is that what they told you?" Jared circled her slowly, studying her as intently as she had studied him. "And what do you think?" No one on Nexus would dare ask for her personal opinion. Nexians followed directives. They didn't question them. "I think," she said carefully, "that you're either very brave or very foolish to approach me alone. On Earth, we call that initiative." He extended his hand, another protocol violation. "I'm Jared." She hesitated, then touched her palm to his. The contact sent an electric jolt through her nervous system. Nexian neural receptors were highly sensitive, designed for careful, controlled interactions. This was anything but controlled. "Sephora," she whispered, withdrawing quickly. "Your skin," he murmured. "It's beautiful when it changes colors." "It's responding to your biochemistry," she explained, trying to regain her composure. "I should report this interaction." "But you won't," Jared said confidently. "How can you know that?" "Because you came here to be alone, away from your people's rules, just like I did." He gestured to the lush garden around them. "For just a moment there are no humans, no Nexians, just us." Sephora knew she should leave, should report this unauthorized contact immediately. Instead, she sat beside him on a luminescent stone bench and asked, "Tell me about Earth." As the night deepened, 2 diplomatic representatives from worlds separated by light years shared stories beneath alien stars, breaking every rule their respective governments had established, and beginning something neither world was prepared for. Diplomatic tensions. 3 weeks into the human delegation's stay, Nexus buzzed with rumors. The prestigious Galactic Unity Conference approached, and the integration of humans into the interstellar community remained contentious. In the council chambers, Sephora stood rigid as Director Zoran paced before her. "Surveillance indicates you've had 7 unauthorized meetings with the human, Jared Townsend." His voice cut like ice. "Explain yourself." Sephora's skin flickered with suppressed emotion. "I'm gathering intelligence on human behavioral patterns." "In the Eastern Gardens? At night?" Zoran's eyes narrowed. "Your neural patterns show elevated hormonal responses. You're becoming compromised." "I assure you my judgment remains clear," she countered. "The Nexian diplomatic corps has maintained genetic purity for 8 centuries, Zoran hissed. "Your designated mate Valkan arrives tomorrow, and whatever this is with the human." After Zoran left, Sephora pressed her palm against the cool wall, steadying herself. These clandestine meetings with Jared had awakened something within her: curiosity, desire, rebellion. Each night brought new revelations. The way his laugh seemed to vibrate through her skin, how his storytelling painted vivid images in her mind, the strange warmth when their hands occasionally brushed. That evening, as purple twilight bathed the gardens, Jared waited at their usual spot. His face brightened when she appeared, but faltered seeing her troubled expression. "They know," she said simply. "I figured they would eventually." He stepped closer. "My team's giving me grief too. Commander Holden thinks I'm going native, as he calls it. This is serious, Jared. My designated mate arrives tomorrow." Jared's jaw tightened. "Designated mate? You never mentioned that." "Nexian partnerships are arranged based on genetic compatibility and diplomatic advantage," she explained. "Valkan is from the Northern Territories. Our pairing would strengthen—" "Stop." Jared's voice was rough. "Don't talk about it like some trade agreement. Is this what you want?" The question startled her. No one had ever asked what she wanted. "What I want doesn't matter. My duty matters less than your happiness," he interrupted, taking her hands. Where their skin met, her bioluminescence intensified. "Look at this. Your body knows what your mind won't admit." A security drone hummed overhead. Sephora pulled back quickly. "We need to be more careful." The following day, Valkan's arrival ship descended from the atmosphere, a sleek vessel adorned with Northern Territory insignia. Sephora stood at the landing platform alongside Zoran and other officials. Jared watched from the sidelines, officially present as Earth's representative, but his eyes never left Sephora. Valkan emerged, tall even for a Nexian, his skin a deeper azure than Sephora's, marked with the distinctive geometric patterns of the warrior diplomatic caste. He approached with measured steps and took Sephora's hands in formal greeting. "The neural simulations didn't do you justice," he said, his voice carrying to where Jared stood. The human ambassador stepped forward suddenly. "Ambassador Townsend of Earth." He introduced himself, extending his hand in human fashion. Valkan regarded the gesture with thinly veiled disgust. "The human experiment. I've heard of your primitive diplomatic methods." Jared's smile remained, though his eyes hardened. "We prefer innovative. After all, we managed interplanetary travel despite being primitive." "Jared," Sephora cautioned. Valkan's skin flared aggressive red. "You address my future mate with such familiarity." "I address a fellow diplomat with respect," Jared countered. "Something you might consider trying." The tension crackled between them until Zoran intervened, steering Valkan away. As they departed, Valkan glanced back, his gaze calculating as it moved between Sephora and Jared. That night, despite the increased security, Sephora slipped to their meeting place. Jared was already waiting, tension evident in every line of his body. "We can't continue this," she said, though every cell in her body protested. "The council has ordered neural compatibility test with Valkan tomorrow." "And if I challenged him?" Jared asked. "What then?" Sephora's skin pulsed with shock. "You can't. The physical differences alone, I don't care." Jared stepped forward, cupping her face. "I'm not giving you up without a fight." Before she could respond, floodlights blazed around them. Valkan stood at the garden entrance, flanked by security drones. "I suspected as much." he said coldly, consorting with a lesser species. As guards moved toward Jared, Sephora made a decision that would change everything. She stepped in front of him, her skin blazing with protective fury. "He's under my diplomatic protection," she announced. "Touch him, and you violate the very laws you claim to uphold." The guards hesitated, looking to Valcon. His eyes narrowed dangerously. "So be it," he said. "I formally invoke the right of challenge." The challenge. The challenge arena rose like a massive crystalline bowl at Nexus's edge, rarely used in modern times but preserved as a testament to their civilization's evolution. Ancient laws, encoded in their genetic memory, still held power. Once invoked, the right of challenge couldn't be withdrawn. Sephora stood in the preparation chamber, her official robes replaced with the traditional witness garb, shimmering silver that reflected her internal turmoil through rippling patterns. Across the fabric, "This is madness," hissed her assistant Thelia. "The human can't possibly win against Valcon. He's been enhanced with combat genetics from conception." "Jared knows the odds," Sephora replied, though her skin betrayed her fear with pale pulses. "Do you understand what happens if he loses?" Thelia pressed. "You'll be bound to Valcon immediately with neural inhibitors to prevent further deviations." Before Sephora could respond, the chamber door slid open. Jared entered, accompanied by his human security officer, Bennett. The humans looked absurdly out of place among the sleek Nexian architecture. "They're explaining the rules," Bennett said grimly. "No weapons, but anything else goes. Victory by submission or unconsciousness." Jared approached Sephora, seemingly calm despite the circumstances. "Your people keep asking if I want to withdraw." "You should," she whispered. "Valcon is genetically superior, combat-trained, neurologically enhanced," Jared finished with a wry smile. "I've been briefed extensively." "Then, why are you doing this?" Jared glanced at the others in the room, then spoke quietly. "On Earth, we have a saying, 'The best things in life are worth fighting for.'" His eyes held hers. "You're worth fighting for." The sentiment, so human, so emotional, sent a wave of warmth through her neural pathways. Nexian bonding was logical, calculated, designed for optimal genetic outcomes and diplomatic advantages. This was something else entirely. "The challenge begins in 3 minutes," announced an automated voice. Jared squeezed her hand quickly. "For luck," he said, then turned toward the arena entrance. The circular arena floor was transparent, suspended over a drop that, while not fatal, would certainly be painful. Spectators, mostly high-ranking Nexians and a few nervous humans, filled the surrounding seats. At the center stood Valcon, his skin glowing with combat-ready bioluminescence, his posture perfect. Jared walked forward, looking smaller but moving with surprising confidence. The contrast between them couldn't have been more stark. Valcon, the product of centuries of careful genetic selection. Jared, a naturally evolved human with all the imperfections that entailed. "Challenge protocol initiated," announced the arena's system. Contestants confirmed: Valcon of Northern Territories and Jared Townsend of Earth. The prize: consort rights to Diplomat Sephora Vex. Begin. Valcon moved first, covering the distance between them with frightening speed. Jared barely dodged the first strike, rolling awkwardly but regaining his footing. "Your primitive reflexes won't save you," Valcon taunted, circling slowly. Instead of responding, Jared focused, watching Valcon's movements. The Nexian struck again, a blur of motion that connected with Jared's shoulder, sending him staggering. Backward, the crowd murmured appreciatively. Sephora clutched the viewing rail, her knuckles paling to white as Jared took another hit, then another. He was outmatched in every physical way, yet he kept rising, kept adjusting his strategy. After a particularly brutal exchange that left Jared's lip bleeding, he backed away, seemingly dazed. Valcon pressed his advantage, lunging forward, and Jared sidestepped at the last second, using Valcon's momentum to send him crashing into the arena wall. The crowd gasped. Humans in the audience cheered. "That's the problem with perfection," Jared called out, breathing hard but grinning. "It makes you predictable." Fury flashed across Valkon's face. His skin blazed crimson as he charged again, abandoning technique for raw power. Jared met the charge head-on this time. A mistake. Valkon's fist connected with his ribs with a sickening crack. Jared dropped to one knee, gasping. Valkon loomed over him. "Submit," he commanded. "End this humiliation." Jared looked up, blood trickling from his mouth, then glanced toward Sephora. Their eyes met across the distance. "Never," he said, and with unexpected speed, swept Valkon's legs from under him. Both men crashed to the floor, grappling desperately. Valkon's superior strength should have ended it quickly. But Jared fought with a ferocity that seemed to surprise everyone, including Valkon. They rolled dangerously close to the arena's edge. Suddenly, Jared hooked his leg around Valkon's and pushed with all his remaining strength. The Nexian, caught off balance, teetered at the edge. His eyes widened in disbelief as gravity claimed him, sending him plummeting to the cushioned safety layer below. "Victory by ring-out," declared the system after a stunned silence. "Winner, Jared Townsend of Earth." The arena erupted, humans cheering wildly, Nexians murmuring in shock and confusion. None of the simulations had predicted this outcome. Sephora rushed to the arena floor where Jared stood swaying, clutching his injured ribs but smiling through the pain. "How?" she asked, supporting him as medics approached. "I studied your culture," he winced. "The challenge is about proving worthiness, not just winning a fight. I had to show I wouldn't give up, no matter the odds." He looked into her eyes. "That's what humans do for those we care about." As they left the arena together, Sephora knew this was only the beginning of their challenges. The Council would not easily accept this outcome, and her own body might rebel against their biochemical differences. But for the first time, she understood why humans had survived, despite their apparent weaknesses. They didn't know when to quit. Neural connection. 5 days after the challenge, Sephora and Jared sat in her private quarters, a sterile medical chamber hastily converted for their meetings. The victory that had granted them official permission to associate had come with unexpected complications. Between them on the table lay medical scans, their colors shifting ominously. "It's getting worse," Sephora said, her voice steady despite the flickering distress patterns across her skin. "My immune response is intensifying." Jared studied the holographic display showing her neural pathways, where they had once glowed with excitement at his proximity. They now flared with warning signals, her body treating his pheromones as foreign invaders. "How long?" he asked. 3 days before neural inhibitors become mandatory," she replied. "The Medical Council has declared our biochemistry catastrophically incompatible." Jared paced the room, wincing slightly from his still-healing ribs. "There must be other options. Your people have the most advanced biotechnology in 3 systems." Sephora hesitated, then activated a hidden panel in her quarters. A compartment slid open, revealing a sleek device unlike any standard Nexian technology. Its surface rippled with forbidden biotech, organic components merged with synthetic interfaces. "What is that?" Jared approached cautiously. "Neural synchronization technology," she explained. "Experimental, unregistered, and illegal." "Where did you get it?" "I have contacts in medical research. This prototype was developed for emergency diplomatic situations, a way to temporarily align neural signatures between species." Her fingers traced the device's contours. "It's never been tested between human and Nexian biology." Jared's expression darkened. "What happens if it fails?" Sephora's skin pulsed with pale blue, their equivalent of a sad smile. "Neural cascade. My body rejects yours completely, accelerating the immune response. Best case, we can never touch again. Worst case." She didn't finish the sentence. "And if it works? Our neural patterns synchronize permanently. My body recognizes yours as compatible." She met his eyes. "We would be truly bonded, beyond what even traditional Nexian pairings achieve." Jared took her hands, ignoring the warning beep from the medical monitor as her vitals spiked in response to his touch. "You'd risk that for this, for us?" "I've spent my life following paths chosen for me," she said. "This is my choice." That night they prepared the chamber, disabling surveillance and sealing the room. The synchronization device glowed softly. Between them, its organic components pulsing like a heartbeat. "The process requires complete neural openness," Sephora explained, attaching sensor pads to her temples. "No barriers, no secrets." Jared nodded, allowing her to place matching sensors on his skin. Will I feel what you feel?" "Everything," she whispered. "And I'll feel everything you feel. That's why this technology is forbidden. It goes beyond Nexian concepts of appropriate bonding." Their eyes met in silent understanding. This wasn't just about biological compatibility. It was about a level of intimacy neither of their species had intended for the other. "I'm ready," Jared said. Sephora activated the device. Immediately, pain lanced through both of them. Their nervous systems fighting the forced synchronization. Jared gasped, gripping the edge of the medical platform. Sephora's skin flared with bright distress patterns, her back arching as the device pushed their neural signatures to align. Through the haze of pain came something unexpected. Awareness. Jared felt Sephora's consciousness brush against his. Her precise, disciplined mind suddenly opened to him. With it came a flood of memories. Her rigorous training, the loneliness of perfect composure, the moment she first saw him and felt something crack in her carefully constructed world. Sephora experienced Jared's mind simultaneously. His determination, his capacity for hope despite setbacks, the fierce protectiveness he felt toward her from their first meeting. She saw Earth through his memories, blue skies, chaotic cities, the unpredictable beauty that had shaped his species. The device hummed louder, its components shifting as their neural patterns began to synchronize. The pain intensified, then suddenly transformed into something else. A rush of pleasure so intense both gasped. Their separate consciousness momentarily merged completely, creating a feedback loop of sensation and emotion that transcended physical boundaries. The synchronization peaked. The device flashed once, twice, then went dark. Silence filled the room, broken only by their ragged breathing. Slowly, Jared sat up, removing the sensors with trembling hands. Sephora remained motionless, her eyes closed. "Sephora?" Fear edged his voice as he reached for her. Her eyes opened, finding his immediately. Where her skin had previously flared with warning at his touch, it now rippled with welcoming patterns of gold and azure. She took his hand, pressing it against her cheek. "I can feel you," she whispered in wonder. "Not just physically. I can sense your emotions, your thoughts at the edges of my mind." Jared nodded, experiencing the same connection, a subtle awareness of her presence in his consciousness. Did it work? The rejection? Sephora activated the medical scanner. Her immune response had completely recalibrated, now recognizing Jared's biochemical signature as not merely acceptable, but necessary. "It worked," she confirmed, her voice thick with emotion. "But it did more than that. This bond," she struggled to find words. "It's unprecedented." Jared pulled her close, reveling in the sensation of her skin against his without the previous complications. "Will the council accept this?" "They'll have no choice," she said. "The neural sync is irreversible. We're permanently bonded now." As dawn broke over Nexus, they held each other, their minds gently intertwined through a connection neither species had imagined possible. But their moment of peace wouldn't last. Already, alerts were sounding in the medical division as unauthorized. Neural activity was detected. The true test still awaited them. Facing a society that had never imagined humans and Nexians could be compatible at their most fundamental level. And somewhere in the holding cells below the council chambers, Valcon seethed, plotting his response to this final humiliation. The challenge might be over, but the danger was just beginning. New beginnings, the great council chamber of Nexus stretched upward in sweeping crystalline arches, designed to intimidate with its grandeur. Today, All 12 high counselors sat in judgment, their elevated platform casting long shadows over the crowded floor. News of the unauthorized neural synchronization had spread throughout the capital, drawing unprecedented attendance. Sephora and Jared stood hand in hand at the center of the chamber, surrounded by guards but unrestrained. A small victory negotiated by the human delegation. The bond between them hummed with shared emotion. Jared could feel Sephora's anxiety beneath her composed exterior, while she sensed his determined resolve. High Counselor Endra, the eldest of the 12, spoke first. Diplomat Sephora Vex, you stand accused of violating Biological Statute 347, unauthorized genetic interference and cross-species neural binding. Her voice echoed through the chamber. How do you answer? I acknowledge my actions, Sephora replied, her voice steady. But I reject that they constitute a violation. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. No one had expected anything but a plea for leniency. Explain yourself, demanded Counselor Brevek, his skin darkening with disapproval. The statute exists to prevent harm, Sephora said. Our synchronization has caused none. Instead, it has revealed a profound truth your own scientists have overlooked. Jared stepped forward. If I may address the council, he asked, following Nexian protocol perfectly, something that clearly surprised the counselors. After a moment of hesitation, Endra nodded. When humans first contacted your world, Jared began, your scientists declared our species biochemically incompatible. Your diplomats predicted cultural conflicts. Your strategists assumed eventual hostility. He paused, looking around the chamber. You were wrong on all counts. Bold words from an outsider, Brevek scoffed. Not an outsider anymore, Jared countered. The neural synchronization proves it. Humans and Nexians aren't just diplomatically compatible. We're biologically complementary when the right adaptations are made. From the gallery, Director Zoran rose. This is one isolated case, a dangerous exception. Is it? Sephora activated a holographic display from her wrist device, projecting data throughout the chamber. These are the neural scans from our synchronization process. The patterns show something unprecedented. Our neural pathways didn't just align, they enhanced each other. The medical experts in attendance leaned forward, their professional curiosity overriding their cultural prejudices. The data was irrefutable. Where their neural patterns overlapped, both showed increased efficiency and capacity. We've achieved something your centuries of careful genetic selection never could, Sephora continued. Evolutionary leaps require diversity, not purity. A new voice cut through the chamber. She speaks treason against our very foundations. Valkon strode forward, his posture rigid with anger. This human has corrupted one of our finest diplomats with his primitive biology. Jared felt Sephora's flash of irritation through their bond and squeezed her hand in silent support. The challenge granted me consort rights, Jared reminded everyone. By your own ancient laws. A technicality, Valkon snarled. You may have won by ring out, but you didn't prove genetic superiority. That was never the point, Sephora interjected. The challenge isn't about genetic superiority, it's about worthiness. Jared proved his commitment to fight for what matters regardless of the odds. High Counselor Endra studied them both, her ancient eyes missing nothing. What exactly are you proposing, Diplomat Vex? That we abandon generations of careful genetic planning for spontaneous cross-species bonding? I'm proposing evolution, Sephora said firmly. Our civilization has reached its limit. We've perfected ourselves into stagnation. The human capacity for adaptation, for embracing the unpredictable, this is what we need. A holographic message appeared before Endra. She read it silently, her expression changing subtly. The medical council has reviewed your synchronized neural patterns, she announced. They've confirmed something unprecedented. The bond between you appears to be generating new neural pathways in both subjects, pathways that didn't exist in either species independently. The chamber erupted in shocked conversations. Sephora turned to Jared, her skin glowing with surprised joy that he could feel resonating through their connection. "Order," Endra called. When silence returned, she continued, "The implications of this discovery extend beyond one diplomat and one human. If replicated, this could represent an evolutionary advancement for both our species. You can't seriously be considering sanctioning this abomination," Valcon protested. "Science doesn't recognize abominations, only data," responded another counselor. "And this data is compelling." The council withdrew for deliberation, leaving Sephora and Jared surrounded by curious onlookers. Through their bond, they supported each other silently, their shared consciousness a sanctuary amid the chaos. When the council returned, Endra's expression was solemn but resolved. After consideration, this council finds that the neural synchronization between Diplomat Sephora Vex and Ambassador Jared Townsend constitutes a new classification of biological event, she announced. The prohibition against cross-species neural binding is hereby suspended for research purposes. Relief flooded through both of them, their synchronized emotions amplifying the feeling. Furthermore, Endra continued, we approve the formation of a new diplomatic division focused on human Nexian integration, to be led jointly by Diplomat Vex and Ambassador Townsend. The decision sent shockwaves through Nexian society. Some celebrated the unprecedented opportunity for advancement. Others, like Valcon, retreated to the fringes, vowing to preserve the purity of their species. But they were increasingly in the minority as the benefits of the neural synchronization research became apparent. 6 months later, Sephora and Jared stood on the observation deck where they had first glimpsed each other. Below them, the first official human settlement on Nexus was taking shape. A collaborative community where volunteers from both species lived and worked together. "Did you ever imagine this would happen?" Jared asked, his arm around her waist. Sephora smiled, her skin glowing with the contentment that had become her normal state. Through their bond, he felt her happiness mingled with determination. "No," she admitted. "My imagination was too limited before you. Before us." In the distance, a transport ship descended from orbit carrying new human diplomats and scientists, eager to explore the possibilities of neural synchronization. Each would be paired with a Nexian volunteer, creating bonds that would forever change both societies. "They're still afraid," Jared noted, sensing the anxiety in some of the Nexian officials supervising the landing. "Of course," Sephora replied. "Fear of difference is instinctual, but so is curiosity." She turned to face him, taking both his hands in hers. "What matters is which instinct we choose to follow." Their minds touched through the bond they shared, human adaptability merging with Nexian precision, creating something entirely new. A bridge between worlds that neither could have built alone. "To new beginnings," Jared said softly. "And unexpected synchronicities," Sephora finished as they turned together to welcome the future they had created. Behind them, the twin sons of Nexus cast their light over a world in transformation, where one human's courage and one Nexian's choice had opened the door to possibilities neither species had imagined. In defying the limitations others had placed upon them, they had shown both their peoples a new way forward. Together,